Hello?
Why, Vincent?
Hi, you sound a little weird.
Do I? Let me check my.
Claire will be right back. These are my new. Here she is.
How am I sounding now?
You much better.
Oh, good. Oh, good.
Oh, my canaries are fighting. You see my canaries?
Yes, yes, I'm watching them now. Let me remember what one is called Taxi, and one is called Cheeto.
Chinito. So I'll
Chinito.
okay. The one that's sitting in the middle right now of the cage on the close to the floor is Taxi. The one on it looks like the right for you. So here in the front, this is Tango, the white one here in the front with the white head. This well as they come okay, the brown one that just came forward. This one that's in the front next to the white and brown one that just came forward. Okay, that's Chinito. And then in the back by the cedar on is my left. I don't know if that's your right. It looks the opposite. Is ballet,
Mm-hmm.
and then in the here that just came to the front, the gray one is Teddy, and then the one in the back on my right, all the way, the one all the way towards the edge of the cage, away from the food, is Tiger. He's on the floor now. He just went up,
Mm-hmm.
and he's in the back. That's Tiger.
I
So
see.
you're gonna see them fight, and I'm a little bit angry with them because they shouldn't be fighting.
Are they male, female?
Well, I don't know what they are. None of them are singers. None of them sing.
Mm-hmm.
And my little Chinito here in the front, he has a foot problem. His feet are malformed, and so it's hard for him to stay on the perch. And they're a little mean to him at feeding time.
Mm-hmm.
They're a little mean to him. So I put in extra cedars so that they would all be have their own cedar, and
Mm-hmm.
then they would stop fighting.
Mm-hmm.
And just down here are my other finches. I'll just point it down quickly. Here are my other guys. But I'm gonna leave it up at them so you can see
And
them.
your
What
latest acquisition. I mean, I can't tell the difference between a canary and a finch, to be honest.
finches are smaller, canaries are bigger. These are big birds, not huge, but they're
Mm-hmm.
bigger. There's Chinito in the front and Ted in the front right there in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
Chinito and Ted. But anyway, the title is thechildcult.blogspot.com. So I started this new thing, this new blog, and this new project towards helping children escape really messed up religious households where really messed up stuff is going on. And my, inspiration is
Stephen
my
Molyneux did something like that. You may remember.
no. What Stephen Molyneux did something like that?
Yes, I mean, people said he was starting a cult because he was telling children to, or people not to speak to their family ever again. Maybe you'd like to, well, talk about that.
Well, yes, but let's talk about the child cult. So basically, I'm saying if you're being religiously abused, which would include not being allowed to practice your own religion even though you're a child, um, that would be marked as abuse, and the parents would either have to stop or you would be able to leave the house if you felt the abuse was too bad. Um, and it comes from my own upbringing and how I was religiously abused and how I don't believe that it was normal, the behavior that the Jehovah's Witnesses were involved with me, and the level of religious, bizarre religious um, exclusion and fear mongering was not was so abusive that I should have been taken out of my house. And um, I believe that there's other children that are experiencing this, and I want them to be able to leave. So I start out, of course, I need to build up my propaganda for this. So I start out by saying, well, look, how much freedom of religion do parents have when it comes to imposing it on their children? And I say, well, if we look at Christian Science, if we look at Carol Balizet, if we look at Herbert Armstrong, um, if if in this country, in America, and in the West, um, it is in some places legal for parents to allow their children to die from medical neglect if it's for religious reasons. Now, that is like the extreme end of what do we allow parents to do with their children for religious reasons. But it opens up the mind to this idea that, okay, well, at least 50% of the people are going to say, okay, well, I don't believe you have the right to kill your child. You know, I draw the line there. So you get them to draw a line in the sand, right? And
I
then,
remember a court case about Jehovah's Witnesses when I was doing law as a law student,
yeah,
about
about
whether the state has a right to take a child away from a life-saving blood infusion.
yes, and oftentimes they don't, and the parents pressure the children not to get these blood transfusions. Um, it for me it's a difficult case because I can see how a child may really believe in the Jehovah's Witness religion and not want the blood transfusion versus a child who's being pressured by parents, and maybe they're being pressured by the community not to do it. So there's there's two versions of that. You know what I mean? Does I believe a child has the right to say, I'm a Jehovah's Witness and I don't want a blood transfusion. But at the same time, I know those children are being pressured into not doing it. It's not like they're just, their parents are putting lots of pressure on them. So it's really not a healthy situation. Um, um,
There's
and
something
it's,
wrong with your audio, just in case you hear. There's a sort of vibration.
is it better now?
There's still a kind of hiss after you speak.
It, it's a vibration after I speak.
Yes.
Okay, hold on. Let me exit and then come back in. Hold on 1 second. Okay, I think you've seen enough of the canaries. Give me a sec. Give me a second. Give me a second.
Stefan Molyneux. Separating children from family. Okay, so The Guardian has a story on him. You'll never see me again. Barbara Weed's son, Tom, 18, cut himself off from his family after getting drawn into a controversial online community. She has not seen him since. So I'm not quite sure what this has to do with Stefan Molyneux. Oh, yes. So Tom and his girlfriend had become increasingly interested in an online community called Radio, FDR, which invites discussions around philosophy, politics, and personal freedom. Unbeknown to Barbara, who was Tom's mother at the time, the key topic of the site, whose members seem to be mostly in their teens and 20s, is the idea that ultimate personal freedom can be gained by cutting yourself off from any involuntary relationships, i.e., your family, and entering into completely voluntary ones, i.e., your new mates online. I think once you get these corrupt people out of your life, you will for sure have enough room for all the new, awesome, virtuous friends in the world, said one member to another recently. For members unsure about such drastic measures, there are podcasts with titles such as But My Parents Were Really Nice, and there is a chat room in which members discuss how so many families are unjust. There's also a Sunday call-in show in which the family's founder counsel founder counsels callers. Often the subject is leaving your family. So basically, they're accusing Stefan Molyneux of separating children from their families.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess it. Yes. So, well, basically, I'm trying to separate them if if the religious abuse is kind of like extreme, and I talk about lots of different things in there about extreme religious abuse and.
But then you'll get into trouble about which religions it is acceptable for a minor to decide to practice.
Well, I mean, if you're sacrificing human beings, then no. But if you're just becoming a Buddhist, then yes. I mean, you have to be protected, and your parents don't have the right to harass you for having a creed. You know what I mean? And that's basically what happened to me. I was like just so abused because I had my own creed, and also I just didn't want to believe their nonsense. I think, I didn't want to believe that humans were only 6,000 years old. And to make children feel like immoral or like they're doing something wrong for believing in scientific facts is also abuse. Parents who, like, it's one thing to tell your children the earth is round, it's another one to tell them that you know God doesn't love them because they believe the earth is round. That's like, you know, not right. Or, I'm also against Christian Science children being exempt from biology and health classes because that's life saving. I mean, do you know that a lot of Christian scientists who have been born Christian scientists, they know nothing about their body and they get like warning signs of sickness and they don't know what it is, and they're not going to go to the hospital because they don't know their own bodies, and they don't like know what hearts are made of and what fucking your stomach is like and where your bowels are and all this other kind of stuff. They don't know any of that stuff. So, you know, that's abusive to do to a child, to make them ignorant of their own body when that's what's going to save you. Imagine never hearing of appendicitis and you don't know what it is. I saved my life from appendicitis because I knew that I had it. And actually, I did save my life because at first I thought I had food poisoning and I was taking a long airplane trip, and I made my landing in between. I was taking two planes, and in the airport, I said I cannot go anymore. I have appendicitis, and I got in the ambulance and I had the operation. But had I gone up in that airplane with that air pressure difference and waited any longer to get my appendix out, I would have died.
Sorry, tell us the story again about what happened on when you had appendicitis.
I had appendicitis in a long plane ride, and if I didn't know I had appendicitis, I had to make a connection in an airport, and I knew I couldn't go any further because I knew the symptoms of appendicitis, and I said I must have appendicitis. I cannot keep going on this airport train. I have to go to the hospital. and a Christian Scientist wouldn't know that, and a Christian Scientist would think that they were just, had some kind of sinful inclination, and they were experiencing pain. And if you were raised a Christian Scientist and didn't get biology and health classes, you wouldn't know what was going on.
But your parents were okay. They took appropriate
Oh
measures
no,
to.
this was when I was an adult. This was when I was an adult.
Mhm.
But I mean, yes, but that's part two, that you don't let the child take health and biology classes, so it doesn't know, it cannot communicate where the pain is or what's going on or what could possibly be going on. And then the parents are going to take it to the hospital anyway. You know what I mean? Even if they know what the classical symptoms of appendicitis are, they're not taking it to the hospital anyway. So, there's a question of the morality of freedom of religion, and obviously it has a limit. No, I mean, can you allow your children to die from medical neglect from freedom of religion? And hopefully the answer would be no, that you would, be prosecuted for that. But that's not always the case. And I'm saying that's a symptom of the disease that we have, where we allow it to go so far that people want such total freedom of religion over their children that they say, okay, well, I'm willing to sacrifice some children in order to get that extreme um that extreme high. That woman is in the chats.
I don't think I know her.
That
Oh,
woman.
that woman. Yes, yes, yes. Hello, Amanda.
Yeah, that woman is in the chat. But I'm saying that you gotta kind of make sure that there's certain rights, and then it goes further. It goes into mental abuse and things like that. I mean, I even want to go so far as, like, are they restricting your diet in that either they're making you only eat certain kinds of foods to the point that it's unhealthy and you have malnutrition, or are they making you skip meals? I mean, I don't think it's right to.
I mean, this is all really for practical reasons. Um, what the state wants. I mean, if you look upon the state as um, the slave master and we as the slaves, it obviously wants to make its job easier for itself. It will want us to believe the things it wants us to believe. But on the other hand, if it said, well, your children aren't really yours, you're just supposed to breed them, and then we'll take over the moment they're born, um, you know, that would mean a lot of people wouldn't bother becoming parents if that is what it really means. So the state has to, in some way, give parents the impression that their children are theirs and they are to look after them properly, at least until adulthood, and and really the state has no interest in taking away children from their parents unless they think it's really necessary, or it would be inhumane not to do so. So although there are laws saying, obviously you should take children away from abusive parents to avoid them being killed by their abusive parents, the tendency would be, well, if they can possibly be looked after by parents until they become adults, there should be state policy in letting them do so. And as for whatever indoctrination their parents might have, I guess the reason would be, well, once a child is grown up, it can adopt another religion and defy its parents
Yeah,
and
but
move
I
out.
think that you can, like, scar the child, and I think that you can. I think the child does have some rights, and that there's something that you think is immoral. I think children have moral rights, and like,
Well,
especially.
they're not moral beings because you can't take anything they say seriously because they are a bit mad and silly. I mean, that is the purpose of the age of majority and criminal responsibility.
Well, I mean, I think that you have the right as a child to declare a creed and not be made to feel as though you're demonically possessed because you declared a creed that anyone can declare, and to isolate the child and to basically spiritually abuse the child because it said, well, I want this to be my religion. And I think that that's goes over the ground and is abusive.
Well, yes. I mean, there are lots of things children can accuse their parents of. That I mean, in the UK, they have this thing called coercive control, which will become a criminal offence. So, I mean, what does that even mean? Just speaking in strong terms to your child. Saying, "I won't take you to whatever place it is you want to go." Um, these rules are already in place. 30 in the UK. I mean, I'll look up coercive control. Have you heard of it? Is it a term that is used in the States?
No, I've never heard of it. I know that Britain has stricter rules than America has, but yes, I do believe in coercive control when it comes to. I mean, you can't take children away because the children want to get ice cream and the parents won't let them. But if the parents are blocking the child from expressing its natural religious expression, then I believe that's a problem.
Okay, shall I read to you a few short paragraphs about what it means in the UK anyway?
Yeah.
Coercive control refers to continuous patterns of behavior that are intended to exert power or control over a survivor. There's so many assumptions in this, but anyway, this is Welsh Women's Aid. Um, it is their definition. These behaviors deprive quote survivors unquote of their independence and can make them feel isolated or scared. This can have a serious impact on the survivor's day-to-day life and well-being. What does coercive mean in a relationship? Domestic abuse isn't always physical. Coercive control is an act or a pattern of acts of assaults, threats, humiliation, and intimidation or other abuse that is used to harm, punish, or frighten their victim. Is gaslighting coercive control? See, that's a new word that is, has come into use. Gaslighting is a form of coercive control and is illegal. Gaslighting can happen over a long period of time and can be a very gradual process. It can often start with small lies and frequently putting someone down to disorientate them. What is an example of a coercive control mother? Coercive parenting is using harsh parental behavior such as hitting, yelling, scolding, threatening, rejecting, and psychological control to enforce compliance with a child. These parents use frequent negative commands, name calling, overt expressions of anger, and physical aggression. What are the 8 stages of coercive control? Monkton Smith has identified an 8 stage homicide timeline, which consists of 1, a history of control and stalking. 2, the commitment whirlwind. I'm not sure what that means. 3, living with control. 4, trigger. 5, escalation. 6, a change in thinking. 7, planning. And finally, homicide or suicide. Just make up so much crap. And then I've got, what are the 10 types of coercive control? Types of coercive control: isolating you from your family or friends, controlling what you eat, wear, or do, controlling who you are allowed to see or spend time with, preventing you from accessing support, gaslighting, monitoring your behavior online or in person, tracking you, for example, using your phone or car. More items. Let me see what it says under more. This is more Welsh Women's Aid. Um,
Yeah, I think a degree of this does apply to children, and you shouldn't, do it, and these different kinds of things, and just basically, I mean, this is basically to get children out of monotheistic households, because liberals don't tend to treat their children like this. The thing is, everyone's like, oh, well, the conservatives always tell to the liberals, oh, well, they might take your children away too, but our children are less likely to like really want to escape, and they're treated better, and then they don't want to escape, whereas your children want to escape.
Okay, shall I finish reading the 5 other things on the list of 10?
Sure.
T- okay, so controlling your finances, for example, through your ability to earn money or what you spend your money on, emotionally or physically threatening or intimidating you, threatening to disclose information about you publicly, humiliating or degrading you, repeatedly putting you down, making you feel fearful or scared of non-compliance. However, there is not a definitive list of behaviors that are classed as coercive controlling. If you feel someone is acting in a way intended to exert power or control over you, then it is wrong and there is support for you. There you go. So it's pretty wide ranging and intended to divide families and intended to deprive women of their male partners and children of their fathers, who are most likely, well, more likely than the mother to do, to exercise these forms of coercive control. I
Yeah,
mean, it
well,
is all about undermining parental authority.
well, yes, I think that's the point, because I think that these people that are involved in this say, well, I was abused by my parents and I don't want them to have that much control over me. And, I didn't want my mother to have that much control over me. And I think it was detrimental, and I think it was wrong. And I don't think it really, helped. And, it didn't help my life at all. And, she just used it very improperly. And she was just she was
Well,
just
you're still alive.
that's not the point. The point is not to be alive. The point is to be, a thriving human being, and not to be like, just
Well,
dead.
she could have been really nice to you and been a liberal parent, and you might still feel a failure and still blame her.
No, I don't think I would blame her. I didn't look before my mother converted to Jehovah's Witnesses and was fucked up. I didn't have a bad relationship with her. She changed, and she became a bad mother. I mean, to be honest, I don't know. She was bad in other ways when she was not Jehovah's Witness, but she
Well, I
wasn't.
think you benefited from becoming a Jehovah's Witness because how you approach things and your thoroughness and your uh, so, you know you're better than the Trinitarians in your understanding of Scripture and your training as a Jehovah's Witness. I mean, I was impressed at the way they train you, saying you can't just repeat what we just told you to learn. You have to paraphrase it to show that you understand, and that explains uh, your greater powers of verbal expression compared to other people.
Yes, Jehovah's Witnesses have heightened verbal intelligence. There's studies that actually proves. I didn't know. I thought they were 3 times more likely to be schizophrenic, but I sent you the study. They're 4 times more likely to be schizophrenic. So I think it's more than their training. I actually think people who borderline on schizophrenia, like Ashkenazi Jews, have higher verbal intelligence anyway. And the thing is that so many okay, here's the thing. It's a mix, because so many Jehovah's Witnesses are converts, right? And so I think that so many of them naturally had higher verbal IQ before they converted. And I think actually part of the reason that they converted was that they need a higher verbal IQ, and they're attracted to higher verbal expression, because they kind of need it more, because they have that ability, so they have that need, and so they get sucked into the Jehovah's Witnesses. But also, it is well known that Jehovah's Witnesses will take people who are not very good readers and not very good speakers and train them to be much better. Yes, I mean vocal and reading and training is part of it. And
And then their life improves, doesn't it? Once they have their training.
yes, once they have their training there, yes, but the training has more to do, the it's no it's more than just verbal. I mean, it's like stop drinking so much, stop smoking, stop doing drugs, um get don't get a job that takes up all your time, but get at least a decent job and keep your
Work-life balance.
a work life balance. And yeah, but they go in the other direction. I mean, sometimes a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses live in, I wouldn't say poverty, but just, lower economic status. And
But are they happier
well, I
than?
don't know. They're less productive. They're less
Well,
productive.
but if you're being materialistic and you're only measuring the success of Jehovah's Witness by their, um, by their income level, maybe they do get to heaven. Maybe they are just happier, even if they are perceived to be less affluent than other kinds of Christians.
Yes,
I
I
mean,
mean,
basically, it made you. Your mother's religion made you what you are, and you can choose to take the good of it, or just focus on the bad bits.
well,
But I mean, you can't
I
just.
mean,
It, it,
there
it,
should
it,
have been. I don't understand why you need to be involved in a cult in order to learn to read and write and speak. You know what I mean? Like, I'm also, I don't know what your opinion of my writing is, but I have. When I was a Hindu, they loved my writing. My English teachers loved my writing, and but
because you
like
express yourself clearly.
it's the reading, writing, and speaking. Um, why do you have to be involved in a cult to learn how to read, write, and speak? Why? I mean,
Well, because you're well, maybe it's a failure of your education system.
yes, it is,
Maybe your
but
your government does wants Americans to be stupid.
yes, I mean, unfortunately, yes. And you have to kind of isolate yourself from the system and do extra learning in order to become a person of higher value. I mean, yes. And it's unfortunate that I have to be indebted to these people in some way because mainstream society failed me. So they gave me a gift, and now I have to be indebted to them and I have to thank them, and
And acknowledge that there are some users to organized religion.
yes, and but the thing is that um this is how people get sucked in
Well,
because
do you have Jehovah's Witnesses complaining about you?
no, they're not so much like that. I mean, they're more like if you leave them and they just leave you and they leave you alone and they let you say what you want to say, and they don't really go around complaining or trying to get you shut down or anything like that. They're nothing like that.
Hmm. Hmm. But
No,
I
they wouldn't even listen to my show to know what I'm talking about.
yeah. But I think it's inescapable that even if bad things happen to us, that they are part of our own formative experience, and I guess we can't disentangle the good bits from the bad. So we just have to learn from the mistakes of others. Um, I mean, assuming you think it was a mistake for your mother to become a Jehovah's Witness. Do you think it was a mistake in her own terms? Would she have been better off if she hadn't converted to that?
No, I mean probably not. I mean probably not. I don't necessarily think I would have turned out horribly wrong, but um it wasn't like she was doing crazy things in front of me. You know what I mean? She was just out of her, she just no, I mean well, she started doing crazy things in front of me when she became Jehovah's Witness, but prior to that she wasn't really doing crazy things in front of me. She wasn't. I mean, she was a drug addict and alcoholic, but I didn't see her on drugs. You know what I mean? I didn't see her on alcohol. She didn't like do it in front of me. And she was just rather blasé with me, and was not. She was nice to me. She was like, she was nice to me, and then she changed, and she became like less good of a mother. I mean,
Hmm.
I don't
Because
know.
she was harsher towards you after she became a
Yeah, she was
Jehovah's Witness.
harsher, and she got all these weird beliefs and what we couldn't do, and and then I had to learn all this nonsense and be restricted and not have friends and stuff like that. And
But it has given you a spirit of independence. You don't mind if people don't agree with you.
no, right, that is the one big thing about being Jehovah's Witness, is that you have no fear. Like, you just say what you want to say, and because Jehovah's Witnesses are very well aware of the fact that nobody likes them and nobody wants them at their door, and you know what I mean. So they're very just kind of like, well, fuck you. I'm here to spread my message.
Hmm. Well, I mean, the good things about you are owed to your mother's choice of religion. So, I mean, you could forgive her and be happier.
Well, I mean, I kind of forgive her in a certain way, but in other ways, I really, don't. And
I mean, don't you think you would have been just another one of the degenerates you keep complaining about, if not for your mother becoming a Jehovah's Witness?
well,
You would be the people who maybe post about farts and smelling them and other degenerate stuff that you've been complaining about.
well, they're just gross. They're just
Well, you could have been one of those people that you are complaining about and have so much contempt for.
yes, I know, but no, I think that I don't know. I think I'm naturally not like that, and there are plenty of people that were raised in healthy mainstream society households and who are well put together, and my mother wasn't showing me her drug and alcohol addiction, so it wasn't like I was living in swill, you know
What was sort of needles all over the place.
no, it was nothing like that. There were
Yeah.
it wasn't like she was. Yeah, it wasn't like she was like that. So I had a chance of growing up healthy. I mean, I wasn't really, being abused or anything like that. So I had a chance of growing up healthy. I was just a normal, regular, healthy boy. I feel like I was just normal, and I just automatically got very sick with the Jehovah's Witnesses and became very mentally fucked up.
Hmm. But you managed to well, you are in a steady relationship. You have been married to your husband for 10 years, so
More.
more now. Yes. Well, congratulations for that, because that's very unusual for gay men, isn't it?
Not anymore so much with marriage, but
Oh, do you know where many other gay couples who've celebrated their 10th wedding anniversary?
well, I'm not very much in. I have no gay friends, so I wouldn't know anyone. I mean, yes, I do know one. I do know one. I have all the like three of them that I know. I do know one couple.
Well, I mean, so if you're going to be gay, and you have had a long-term relationship with another gay man, I mean, I think that's a sign of success, isn't it? in your own terms.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So, I mean, I don't see that you've done so badly. And also, as far as I'm concerned, this is what I've been saying to Stephen, because I'm saying, oh, I don't know if you listened to what we were talking about yesterday on his channel. I thought, well, would you there briefly or something, or maybe I'm getting it mixed up. But we were talking about well, religion, as usual, and how I've forgotten now. I've forgotten what I was going to say. You carry on. It might come back.
1 second. 1 second.
Well, anyway, but what I was talking to him about today was the difficulty the dissident right have in communicating with the previous generation who might be supporting them in some way. And oh yes, now I remember. So he was mocking me for having you as my streaming partner, and I was saying, well, it's a disgrace that out of all the Western men there are in the world, Vincent's the only one prepared to discuss ideas, and all the others are just running away from that discussion. And that at least you're trying to solve the problem, but when I said you're going to fail because you're just going to use anything but marriage as a way of regenerating Western society, and that's why you kind of painted yourself into a corner with your beyondism, because because you're determined not to use traditional forms of sexual reproduction within wedlock. And then that's what. And
Can you make a soup? Okay, no way. Oh. I'm gonna make this soup anyway, but what can you make me? Hold on 1 second, Clara.
I'll carry on talking.
Okay.
So,
yeah. So
you have the rare distinction of being the only intellectually courageous person in the West to do that. All the others can't do it properly. They can't break down the ideas, the rules, the values, and the system. And you're the only one with your continued interest in cults, which is basically the how to create your own religion, process.
yeah, no, they're interesting to study, and like you said, at least they were trying something. They were trying to create some kind of catch net for human beings in order to get them into a system of behavior in order to heighten civilization. I mean, all of their, what's it called? Their things are about modifying humans and making them better people, and stuff like that.
Yes. So I forget who was saying this, but anyway, the idea was, if your group allows members of the group to be murdered by, its other members, then it's not going to be a group that's going to be around for long, because that group would just destroy itself if they allowed theft. If they didn't expel members who committed theft, if they didn't expel members who were guilty of sexual offences, then that group wouldn't be around for long. So that's why you have these similar prohibitions in any ancient or civilized society. That they would be the only ones left, because if you did allow murder and theft and sexual immorality, your group just wouldn't be around for very long. It's a self-selecting process, in other words.
Yes, which is what people like who I was on your channel speaking with yesterday, that gentleman from Africa don't understand.
Oh, yes, Teo. Yes. You were talking to Teo,
Yeah.
the Christian.
Yes.
Mhm. But you were somehow equating racial predispositions, like um, white people are more cooperative, therefore they like polytheism. Um, um, brown and black people can't get on with each other, so they want a supreme authority. But I don't think that's true, because the Greek pantheon had a king of gods who was
Yeah, but
you.
he was still subservient to fate, and the other gods would rebel, and not listen to him, and there was nothing he could do about it, and it wasn't like he was all powerful.
Well, that was a failure, because Zoroastrianism. I mean, it's what they call a form of dualism. So and the Albigensian Crusade was about this kind of wrongthink amongst these Christians in the south of France. They had the wrong idea, according to the Pope anyway, of Christianity, and they had to be destroyed. And I think a million of them were killed. But so it was all about wrongthink. But I think it's important, in a way, to say you have to believe in God in the correct way, or you won't get the full benefit of your religion. And so the Jews, they have to believe that God is in perfect control of everything, and even if they see evil, that there is this verse in Isaiah that says God created good and evil, and so Jews have to accept that, and therefore, if they accept that, then they will think everything has a reason, and God intended it, and our role is to work out, what we did wrong, and why God is punishing us. Oh, and we have to thank God even for misfortune, because we are supposed to look upon misfortune as a learning exercise, an opportunity for learning, which is quite extreme, I think, for a lot of people. Imagine thanking God for misfortune. Imagine thanking God for the Holocaust. But if you read some of the rabbis like Avigdor Miller, you'll see how extreme his expression is. He was saying that the Holocaust was a blessing. I can look it up now and read the relevant part of that Wikipedia entry. I mention him because Avigdor Miller is praised by Rabbi Mizrahi, who actually says everything he says is correct and nothing he says is wrong, and he's this wonderful sage. So this was what Rabbi Avigdor Miller said. Miller was outspoken in his belief that the Holocaust was a divine response to Jewish cultural assimilation in Europe. He wrote, Hitler was not only sent by heaven, but was sent as a kindness from heaven, because assimilation and intermarriage are worse than death. And the German Jews and others ignored the Torah teachers and refused to desist from their mad race into assimilation. The Nazis were sent to prevent them and rescue them before they were swallowed up by the nations.
Hold on.
Miller was a staunch opponent of Zionism in both its religious and secular forms, and was known to help the Satmar Hasidim translate their anti-Zionist ads in the New York Times. But that's interesting, because Rabbi Mizrahi curses Satmar, who are really the Neturai Karta.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that? Have I read this to you before?
Mm-mm. No.
So he did go pretty far. He's like, Hitler was not only sent by heaven, but was sent as a kindness from heaven.
Yeah, right, to get rid of all the dissident Jews.
Well, because he was basically saying that the German Jews were just so happy being in Germany, that they were just marrying Gentiles left, right, and center, and they were assimilating themselves out of existence until the Nazis said, "Enough. We don't want you to assimilate. We want you to be gone." And also, what is interesting is that the rabbis actually said, "Don't do this. This is really terrible." But the German Jews, because the Gentile Germans were so friendly and welcoming, they could just say, "Well, we don't fancy living as a Jew. We're going to go out into the Gentile world and assimilate with them, and they're being so nice to us. That's what we'll do." So the German Jews and others ignored the Torah teachers and refused to desist from their mad race into assimilation. And the Nazis were sent to prevent them and rescue them before they were swallowed up by the nations.
Right. Yeah, this is common thinking.
Well, not that common amongst modern Jews, who would probably be horrified to hear this. Wouldn't they?
Yeah, I mean, though it's becoming more common to think like that.
No, but the thing is, yes, you can incorporate this piece of information. It's like, well, God had a purpose when He created the Jews, when He made Jews His chosen people, and it's like, well, He obviously wants them around because they haven't done what they were supposed to do, i.e., teach the Noahide laws, and they're still not doing it, and it would be quite fun to get them to do it. I think. You were listening to Stephen J. James complaining about Duvitt, calling him a stupid goy.
Yeah.
So I think Stephen could easily get his revenge on Duvitt by taking my position about the Noahide laws. Even though actually at this stage he's not interested in them because he thinks it's all stupid. But in order to get his revenge on Duvid, he might have to take a bit of an interest in theology.
Read me whatever can be what from the living room.
Right.
So what I'm saying is that this is a story. It's a continuing story. It's not written in stone that Jews are God's chosen people and are indestructible, and that's it. That's not the end of the story. The story is a continuing one, and they can be made. And I mean, my position is that they were made God's chosen people to serve humanity. And when I put it in this way, they'll say, "Yes, of course, we're here to serve humanity, in this grandiose way." But if you say the way you are to serve humanity is to teach Gentiles the Noahide laws by ranking the 4 Gentile religions, they will be disagreeing with me, wouldn't they? Because they don't want to do it. But I think, if I can't get to speak to Duvid, Stephen could be doing it by proxy. And it would be amusing for his listeners. And I think a bit of an interest in theology would do them no harm, because it's the only way of overturning the narrative of liberalism. Because okay, even under this post-war liberal narrative, you have these these liberals, these neoconservatives who are Zionists who are using Jews as a way of saying we're such wonderful Gentiles because we want to protect God's chosen people from these horrible Muslims who want to exterminate them. So that is their narrative, and that is why, and therefore we must fund the military protection of Israel. And this would, of course, stoke feelings of anti-Semitism because Americans have said why the hell should we support Israel? We don't even like Jews. And then I guess the latest news is so now we're paying to help Hamas and the Gazans. It's kind of like you damage your own property and you fix it and then you damage your own property in another place. I mean, it makes no sense. But you may have heard of this saying, I think it is an ancient Greek one, which goes, those whom the gods wish to destroy, they first make mad. And I think American policy is a bit mad and may lead to World War III.
Yeah, no,
The Europeans are too stupid to stop it.
Everyone is too stupid, but hopefully it won't lead to World War III. Hopefully Russia's just going to run out of arms. I mean, how much more arms do they have?
No, I think Russia is saying we're going to keep this going because we know that eventually the stupid Western Europeans will ask themselves, why the hell are we doing this? Why the hell? And then they'll question their entire foreign policy. They'll question being in NATO. They will. But let them suffer and let their leaders not keep not answering their questions. Because I think Putin is playing the long game. I mean, a few American commentators are like, why didn't Putin just go in and destroy them and, instead of withdrawing when they could have just pushed on and taken over Kiev and sent the whole lot packing. And I think Putin is really playing, he wants it done peacefully. He wants European NATO countries to by themselves without any military force from Russia begin to question their NATO membership and hopefully have a mass exodus from NATO. And that will change the world order. I think that might be his long game. Of course, I don't have a direct line to him. But
Do you know anything? I saw this short clip and I've learned that when it comes, you can trust leftists to give you facts, unless it might be something about a vaccine or something. I mean, I don't know. But generally, but on the right, you cannot trust them to give you facts. I mean, whenever I see anything from a right-wing website, I mean, actually, I would say more than 50% of the time it's fake and it's not real. But is it true that that Putin is so the areas that he has control of in Ukraine and that he's bombed out, he's filling it with like Syrians and shit like that and like other Arab Muslims to do the reconstruction work? And is that true?
I don't know. I haven't read anything about that. But what I have read from a Russian Alexander Dugin was his tweet about an hour ago. And it said, very soon, Russia will revoke the acknowledgement of sovereign status of Ukraine. It will be regarded as terrorist entity without any legal right to exist. Today's missile strike against civil population of Belgorod, and especially children, is last drop. I'm not sure what it means. Does it mean it's a last straw? And I guess Belgorod is somewhere in Russia or something. but yeah, maybe things are. But it's a city in Russia, in Oblast.
Well, I don't know what right they think they have, to Kiev or anything like that. Rock Munter is in the, Pebble Munter. His name is Pebble Munter, and I don't know what right Russia thinks it has invading Ukraine, and who
Well,
cares
it was part
if
of Russia.
who cares if Ukraine joins NATO? What is Russia doing that it's scared of, that it's scared of having NATO on its border? I mean, what are they doing that they're so scared?
Well, they don't want to be encircled by NATO. It is an encirclement. I mean, the maps. Okay. Before all this, there was something called the Eastern Bloc.
Yeah, I know, but
The Eastern Bloc was a buffer state. A buffer state is like a fence.
yes,
So,
but
and the fence is like, well, you're saying to your neighbor, I don't quite like you, or I know you hate me, I don't quite trust you. And there's this expression, um, strong fences make good neighbors. And then suddenly your neighbor who has always hated you and talked shit about you starts dismantling the fence. That would be my analogy.
I know, but Russia is supposed to not be communist anymore, so there's no
Yeah,
need.
but okay, there are a lot of people in Russia who want to cooperate with the Americans and be another um, NATO country. You know, I think the idea is like, when Russia realizes that it's helpless against its encirclement, it's like, well, how about you join NATO, Russia, and how about we all go and attack China, and Iran, you know, that would make sense if you really want global domination, because actually Russia um, could be the perfect next NATO member, because there
Yeah,
are Russians who want to cooperate with America.
yeah, there is no reason for this antagonism between Russia and the West. And yeah, they should just work to starve China, starve Iran, starve the Middle East, and just get that problem out of the way rather than fighting each other.
Yes, and the fact is that there's so many things in America that needs to be dealt with. But all the American government wants is more foreign adventures and more wars. When I think Americans, want a few things dealt with at home.
Yeah, no, it's just I don't know. It needs to be taken care of.
But foreign adventures are a distraction. It's all well. I know everybody hates me at home, but if I win a few wars abroad, I might feel better about myself. And maybe if you think you are the uh, strongest military power in the whole wide world, you think, well, I have a fighting chance of being successful in my military policy of invading and conquering weaker countries. But I don't think it sits well with the American people, who, in any case, I mean, they would think, well, we have enough territory to be self-sufficient in energy and food supplies. You're not some little country like the UK, having to worry about not being self-sufficient in so many things. You just need a what kind of spring clean, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you need some.
Tidying up of the room.
Yeah, I know, but there's no person in the West that's willing to really do it. Even Donald Trump is not a juggernaut or whatever it's called enough to really get America on that.
Well, it's all about ideas. I mean, I keep emphasizing the importance of the narrative because a lot of the things that these conspiratards like to do is say, oh, 9/11, it was the Jews, and it was it's like you hear it and you think, so what? So what? And it's happened and it's over, it's past, it's history. And what you need is a narrative that is a continuing one. You have a cliffhanger. You might actually have an effect on the outcome, the ending of the story, which has not ended, which is at this moment continuing. And that is the only way to get people interested in what you're saying. And I think uh, the divine narrative is perfect for this. Because you have all these Westerners complaining about Jews and Muslims. So it's not like, it's like, oh, Jews, Muslims, who are they? We never heard of them. Who cares? It's like, yeah, you're always going on about them. I mean, it's not like, oh, let's talk about the no hides and really frighten Westerners with it because they're not frightened. They might understand if you point it out to them, and they might meet one or two but they won't be frightened. But as for Jews and Muslims, it's already done. The Western media have already bigged up Jews into a kind of Western mascot. They've also bigged up Muslims to be this, dangerous group of terrorists and anti-feminists and whatever. So Jews and Muslims are very much in the Western consciousness. And I think we should just go with it, and say, well, I have the answer to the Jewish question and also the Muslim question and also the Christian question.
I emailed Omar about coming on and having a stream with me.
Well, I look forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, I said you're a liberal Muslim, so I don't know what we're going to debate about. Yeah.
He called me an abhorrent fascist. Imagine that.
He called you abhorrent?
Yes, he called me abhorrent and a fascist. He didn't listen to the end. I thought it was one of the best streams on Quran EU. And then towards the end, he said he'd love to talk to you because he was saying, because we were talking about civil partnerships and gay marriage towards the end. And he was saying, well, I wonder what Vincent will think of all this. And I said, he already knows that I'm going to ban gay marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And then he said, I'd like to talk to him. Yeah, so all these Muslims are also losing their identity, because they don't take their own principles seriously. And maybe they don't even know what they are, because I can imagine most of them not having read the Quran because it's so boring, right? But I thought it was quite funny. There was this Jew who turned up on Stephen's stream, and he's getting a bit nervous. After I said, Jessica, why didn't you talk to Omar, the liberal Muslim? And he said, no, I'm having too much trouble being, called the TBR guy, and I don't want to be called the Jew guy. I certainly don't want to be called the Muslim guy.
Yeah.
So, well, do you have any further thoughts on TBR, Thomas Barton Rees?
Oh, God. I mean, the fact that, it's just that this is really annoying. It goes to the fact that, now everyone's pretending they always knew he was fake, or now he still has holdouts, these people that believe, well, Stephen J. James thinks that this new thing coming out and saying it's all fake is fake, and that Thomas Barden Reese is actually really who he pretends to be. And it just shows what fools everyone is.
For even talking about him.
Well, I think it just shows that he's the fact that these alt-right men are so pathetic that, someone making fun of them is actually their leader.
Yes, and they always fall for a toff because he's like, I'm so highborn, I'm so aristocratic, I have a double barrel name. Obviously I have a better family than you. My parents are wealthy. I have a PhD in maths or whatever. And they all fall for it, and I keep saying, but nothing he says can be taken seriously because he'll walk back on it, in his next dream. He's like Jay Walker.
Yeah, they're messed up. It's, well, the fact that they, idolize this character that's not even real and is meant to like poke fun at them is really pathetic.
Did you see how he manhandled his girlfriend?
No, what was that on camera?
Yes. Well, Stephen played part of it. He seems to like smacking her on the head in a playful way, but it's manhandling as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I mean, yes, I did see Kiwi Farms, which I don't know if they're still operational, had a page on him that's been taken down, but you can still read tiny pieces of it in the introduction, and they did talk about him hurting or being whatever rough with his girlfriend and assaulting some woman. So I know that they do talk.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'll have a look.
I know they do talk about that.
I think I think he's real, but he just got scared because somebody in Telegram said his name. It said, "I know where you live. I know what your real name is," and then that video came up. Um, so I guess then that was why he wanted to disavow. He wanted to disavow everyone, including Stephen James, whose catchphrase is, it's more than my job's. I mean, more than it's above my pay grade to offer my opinion on whatever. Yeah, it's kiwifarms.net. Thomas Barton Rees is a fake Jew with a fake Jewish name.
Yes.
But the thing is, it doesn't matter. I mean, I think we should just understand him to be time zero. Thomas Barton Rees should be understood as time zero. So it doesn't matter, you think of a high figure, 900,000 million, and it's like time zero. It's still nothing. It's still zero. He's a big fat zero. Nothing he says can be taken seriously. And if he wants to do comedy, he can do comedy, but he shouldn't be saying anything, unless he says it seriously. And if you want to say anything seriously, he should do it with some consistency instead of this hit and run approach.
And even, so Truth Over Lies is telling you, like, is saying that Thomas is like real and that video was slapstick, and he took it down, but he took it down for no reason. Like, it's so funny he had to take it down and all this different kind of stuff. And I mean, even if the fact, so okay, so your leader, even if he really is your leader now, then he's so not serious that he sends out mixed signals. And this is the way that you choose to behave.
Yeah. So he wastes a lot of people's time who, try and work out whether he really means what he says or doesn't. He goes on endlessly about academic agent who isn't worth talking about because he has no ideas that could be taken, that could be effective, let alone taken seriously. And I think maybe he's. I mean, somebody said he's a state actor, paid to sow dissent and be a distraction from people talking about genuine things. I mean, in a sense that he's ever discussed anything genuine. It's like, he's saying, millennial woes. He's cornered the market in nationalism, and he's this gatekeeper that won't let anybody say anything that he doesn't like. And he likes white knighting, and he was horrible to Brutus. He's this British Hindu person who said a few anti-feminist things, and millennial woes marched in and said, "How could you say, these terrible things about, our wonderful white women?" And it was his way of, getting first dibs at, nationalist women who might fall for his thing. That has been suggested by others. I'm just repeating what others might have said.
Truth Over Lies is saying Thomas Bodden Reese is not a leader, but they just find him entertaining. Yeah, fine, okay, yeah. I mean, they're so leaderless. Well, you have his loyalists, and I've seen men speak. Oh, he's Thomas. Thomas Bodden Reese speaks for me, and he's the only one that says what I think. And I mean, they take it seriously. And it's disgusting. Just, it's disgusting.
Yes, because he's always being pathetic. Oh, I'm mentally ill. My dad thinks I'm mentally ill. Okay, I can see a lot of people thinking they can't talk about politics with their parents or something. But the point is to rise above that. And, maybe they like him because he's so pathetic. Excuse me, so pathetic. And he can't, go a few months without having a meltdown and saying, I'm throwing my toys out of my pram now, I have to retire. And then more recently he said, I can't stay online for long because then I get angry and frustrated when I realize how helpless I am. And then I start to say crazy things, and then I get myself into trouble. And so I better, go away for a bit. But I'll be back in January. It's that sort of. That's all he keeps saying, which is just dangling the carrot before the pathetic donkeys again. I guess I'm just annoyed at him. People discussing him endlessly when they could be talking about secular Quranism.
No, I mean, yeah, I mean, the fact that he's the topic of discussion is really sad. And I mean, these people, they don't see how sad they are, and they're so impressed with themselves. And it's outraging. You almost just want to, like, knock them down a few notches in order to make them feel like, you know see themselves for who they are. But they're just so proud of themselves, and there's nothing really you can do to convince them that they're just not the cat's meow. You know what I mean? I mean, and anyone who isn't them is autistic. Anyone who's serious is autistic. And
Yeah, and I genuinely think, Vincent, that we're their thought leaders because they haven't got a single one. I mean, academic agent, what has he ever said? And, as for the others, they're always saying, well, we just like to kick them out. And I mean, what else? So they kick them out. Oh, yes, and they can talk about their paganism and how they can create their own religion. And, well, you can help them a bit with your knowledge of all these cults that popped up, or aspiring cult leaders, I should say. And that's why the deep state, the government can keep. They think they can just keep pushing us around because people like that who cannot take anything seriously, who are too afraid to say what they mean, will won't be a threat. And that's why I think Thomas Barton Rees might be a paid state actor, paid to just LARP.
well, that's what I was saying, that I don't accuse anyone of being a state actor, but if anyone is a state actor, it's him. It's he said that, well, in that opening statement, he said he did it to bring the people into disrepute anyway. He admitted that he was trying to bring people into disrepute. And I remember watching something where he basically 99% came out, to say he was Jewish. He didn't go the full 9 yards, but he did basically make it clear that he was likely Jewish.
Hmm. It wouldn't matter if he was. I mean, his father could be a banker. I mean, some people are bankers, right? I mean, they're not that, you don't meet them that often, but, obviously, I mean, but they wouldn't have control over, banking policy. Uh, but yes, I mean, they are impressionable. They do prefer to talk about, pointless things like gossip, and they like accusing people of being somebody else. And, there's actually very, very little political discussion in the groups that are supposed to be about him. You know what they are, the TBR group, the new TBR group. They
Yeah.
don't talk about politics at all. They're all just stupid accusations against each other.
Yeah.
And I think Thomas Barton Rees's role is to increase the distraction and division, and never discuss anything properly. He boasts about being some kind of philosopher, but he's not really interested in talking about philosophy or politics, other than he thinks he's so clever, thinking instead of saying Jew, he says Rothschild. And that's his contribution to nationalist debate. I mean, what else is there? Other than saying he'd like to send me back. I mean, there is nothing. They have nothing. Oh yes, yes, and Stephen, he plays along with it too. I mean, his advice to me that, oh, your content should be 20% politics and 80% entertainment. Well, we'll just never get it there, will we?
No, they can't.
80% talking.
It's like these Christians that won't go to church unless there's a rock band present. I mean, church is not about rock bands. It's about learning about the Bible, and you know learning, and hopefully learning. It's not about entertainment. And it used to be that news and politics and serious talk was entertainment. It used to be that people would tune into political programs that were purely political and not jokes, for entertainment purposes, infotainment. And these people are so low on the desire for knowledge that, there's no such thing as infotainment to them. It's just, it needs to be 80% fluff.
Yeah, and he panders to it all. I mean, I'm just old enough to remember something that was just 1 hour of a politician being asked hard questions by this journalist. It was actually called Weekend World. And it was great because, then the politician had a chance to explain his ideas properly. And, well, anyway, I still remember it after all these decades. Um, and now, I mean, it's almost unimaginable that any politician would even want to do that, or any
Yeah,
journalist capable of asking intelligent questions.
yeah, no, it's just absolutely horrible. Everyone is just so retarded. You know what I mean? Everyone is so stupid that nobody can have a decent conversation or discuss anything. And, in the right, it's even worse. And leftists, whenever you hear leftists talk, they take turns, they don't overtalk each other, they don't get nasty with each other. All these right wing discussions, when you go in, they're all interrupting each other and changing the subject constantly. And there's no like topic of discussion. And it's just scattered. And then any linear conversation is autism.
Yeah, I think Caleb Morpin. Have you heard of him?
Yeah.
Well, he's supposed to be this communist. I mean, he's the most intelligent, charismatic person, and his streams are actually entertaining. But he does complain that people do lie about him and say terrible things about him, and you know, and they're a bit stupid too. Because he was talking about two kinds of socialists, and there are some who are in fact state supported, who basically go around saying, you must call out anybody who says something, mildly, pro Trump or um, pro Palestinian, or something like that. I can't remember, but even in leftist groups, there is also severe censorship, and people who don't say the right thing are also isolated, but maybe we don't pay that much attention. I mean, I once listened well, quite regularly to his streams, and he does complain a lot about people accusing him of all kinds of things, of being a white nationalist, no less. But obviously, I mean, there will be state operatives designed to sow uh, dissent and conflict.
Where do they get these state operatives? These must be one in a million.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's sort of even supposing you joined the CIA, it would be like, well, you already had your Facebook account or whatever before you joined the CIA. I mean, okay, not you, but other people, and it's like, well, you just maybe you might even use your account to accomplish state purposes.
Yes, but I mean, it's like,
And probably get special dispensation, because I guess there will be embedded CIA consultants in Facebook and Twitter or whatever saying, "Oh, things have to be done this way," and
this can't be that common, though. I mean, the thing is that, I mean, these people in the right that say every single last person is a Fed, I mean, there must be like two Feds spreading like fake, uh, like people that are up on YouTube showing their face that are actually feds. There's very few of them.
Yeah, I mean, but I think that the very, I mean, I was a bit shocked when I heard Andy Nowicki getting a visit from the FBI. Have you heard of him?
No.
Anyway, he's associated with Colin Liddell and Richard Spencer when they were doing TRS together. So Andy Nowicki is this Catholic English professor, I think, and I mean he's just so effete that nobody in their right mind would think he'll ever lead anything. I mean they already know Richard Spencer is not going to say anything consistent, agreeing with anything he said the previous time, so they can leave him alone because nobody trusts him because he always contradicts himself. However well born and charming he is. And Colin Liddell has a personality problem. So they're not bothered about people like that. And I think what they will do is suppress people who could, get a lot of support by shadow banning them. So what they end up doing is virtually posting to themselves or to their very small groups, which are not allowed to get bigger. And I think that is the best way of controlling certain people. I mean, years ago there was this guy who was maked out. Basically, he lived in a trailer park. He was very charismatic, and he got lots of viewers and subscribers, and they just cut him off when he got too successful, because that's how they roll. That they'll let you, go on for a bit, and then when you reach a certain point, they'll pull the plug on you. So, and maybe for people like millennial woes, maybe the made to understand that they'll be allowed to make money as YouTubers or whatever, if they don't go beyond a certain point. I mean, for all I know, they could be telling him, yes, you can discuss anything, even the Jews, even how much you hate them, but just make sure you don't discuss secular Quranism, or it will be the end for you.
Claire, I'm going to go.
I'd be doing that if I were the CIA.
Claire, I'm going to go because my battery is dying.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, and thank you for inviting me.
Sure. Bye.
Bye.